So we've both taken a trip recently, separately, to the strange place called the movie theatre.
We don't actually like each other in real life. This is a pretense for a...
They've got guns to our heads, forcing us to talk about films.
A purely working relationship, yes.
Yeah. So since we are ostensibly a film podcast, we both separately saw a film, and now we're here to talk about said film. Fancy that. Separately we've went to go see the long in production Alita Battle Angel, directed by our favourite filmmaker Robert Rodriguez
of Shark Boy and Llama Girl fame,
or as I like to call it, Shark Lava and Boy Girl, which I like to see that film more. And this film has been marred with development hell issues and production problems stemming back as far as the early 2000s. James Cameron was originally set to direct it. He extensively worked on pre-production, getting stuff set up, and then he got interested in blue aliens and filming the deep sea. So Alita's kind of been floating about for a bit now, and finally Fox were like, let's just cut our losses. We'll give $200 million to James Cameron and he can nominate his director, and the nominated director was critical darling Robert Rodriguez.
Someone who gets in there, gets the job done, and leaves.
He's like a higher budget Brett Ratner.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Robert Rodriguez has never been called out on any of his bad films.
Well, I think because they're also so uniformly just ignored and stuff. Like, no one, I don't think anyone's paying any attention to a film he's done for a while, to be honest. And he never makes films as big as Brett Ratner. He's not made like Rush Hour or anything.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So the film's finally out, almost 20 years in the making, and it's here. And unfortunately, it sounds like it's kind of just landed with a soft thud.
Well, there was another film that was stuck in development hell and landed with a soft foot at first. The 80s version of Alita Battle Angel, Once Upon a Time in America. And I bet you don't have you don't sneer at that now, do you?
Yeah, I can't wait to see the 4-hour cut of Alita Battle Angel where it's all told in chronological order and it'll actually make sense. I can't wait for that. So here we are. Alita Battle Angel's out.
What happens in Alita Battle Angel? Who is this Alita and what angel is she battling?
As we've started calling it over the course of the day, a literal battle angel. But that's a terrible joke. So in the year 2563, there was a catastrophic war known as the Fall, which has left the Earth devastated. So, yep, it's the post-apocalypse, essentially. So while scouting in a nearby junkyard in the metropolis of Iron City, Christoph Waltz plays a character called Dr. Dyson Ido, who discovers the disembodied body of a female cyborg who, through his engineering and cybernetic skills, rebuilds her and brings her back to life, and he dubs her Alita after his deceased daughter, as we learn later.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Anyone who doesn't see that coming from like the first scene, films aren't made for you.
It's the art of the filmmaking. So Alita kind of has no memory of where she's come from. Ido establishes that she's definitely not from Iron City. She must have fallen from the Sky City Zolom, which hangs ominously over Iron City, and it's where where basically the patriarchy and the establishment live. All the very best of society live there, and Alita's on a quest to find out who she really is, and in the process discovers that she's more than just your average cybernetic girl. She's a warrior and a lover, and she has a heart. So Marcus, what did you think of Alita Battle Angel?
Well, I'm surprised that this is old James Cameron's like a passion project of his, because I didn't hate it. I thought it was alright. It's got quite a lot of heart to it, but it's such a generic kind of plot line. Like, this could be like any post-apocalyptic sort of film for younger audiences, where it's like a journey of self-discovery for the sort of main character. It's not distinctive enough, I don't think, to be like a proper like cult classic or anything, and it's sort of a little too weird to be sort of fully just to sort of turn your brain off film as well.
Yeah.
Mixed feelings really, but sort of trending broadly positive. What do you think?
Well, you're gonna hate me for this.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm not gonna say I loved it or anything, but it was a big hot mess.
Yes, definitely.
And I kind of liked it because of that. The film, I think the film has a pretty strong first act.
Okay.
I think it does a lot of neat visual storytelling and some efficient world building and some good character stuff, but then it completely collapses in the second half. In the second act, and it never really recovers.
Yeah.
It gets incredibly muddled about what we're building to, what this character's about, what are the villain's motives, what's the wider picture.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it gets stuck.
Yeah, it almost has a feeling that sort of almost you're making it up as you go along. So
Yeah.
I think, definitely the first sort of like hour. So it's like a good like 2 hours and 20 minutes, isn't it? And the first hour feels like, you've got your building blocks for sort of like, your kind of classic kind of like, it's a journey of self-discovery for Alita, and then you've got your second act, which is a bit of a mess where you're trying to get the sort of wider stuff like on top of it. Like, I don't think the romance works at all in the film.
No, yeah.
And then the third act just descends into generic kind of like action ending thing where it's like the so they play a game which is, what's it called? I don't even know what it's called.
It's
Motorball.
called Motorball, yeah.
Which is like, basically you're on like skates and you've got to get a ball through a hoop. It's like basketball but with
rollerblades, rally car racing and robot wars.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
And it just ends up being a bit generic and like haphazard, and like it does feel like a bit of a mess that sort of descent. I think the main problem with the film is that you can't decide whether it wants to be a self-contained story about Alita or whether it wants to be the beginning of an epic, like 5-part saga or something. Well, and I think that hampers it down.
Well, yeah, I mean the film's based on a manga series. And as far as I understand from what I've been reading, the film pretty much just adapts like the first 2 volumes and like fast tracks certain elements.
Yeah.
I respected the first act.
Yeah.
Because it takes its time, which I appreciated. There's some cute scenes.
Yeah.
I like the scene of her trying like an orange.
Yeah.
And she's like the fucking skin, and she's like, what the hell's this? And then Christopher's like, no, if you'll peel the skin off.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is amazing. And like, I liked that. It worked for me. I'm going to say now, this is my divided opinion.
Yeah.
I actually think the special effects on Alita were really, really good.
I never got over the eyes. The eyes always looked weird to me. There wasn't a point where I looked at it and thought it was like a character. It looked like a bit of a gimmick and stuff. No, I didn't like it, mate.
You see, I kind of got past it.
Okay.
I kind of forgot I was looking at a special effect.
Yeah.
And I kind of all I saw was just the character, which for me is the best compliment you can give a special effect.
Definitely.
Where like with Gollum, where you don't even think about the fact that Gollum was motion captured CGI.
Yeah.
Like with Alita, all I could see was, this is the character.
Yeah.
There wasn't a point where I was like, ooh, this looks a bit off.
Yeah.
And, there is that uncanny valley effect. But, it's intentional. They managed to make, I keep wanting to say Lolita. In my opinion, they managed to make Alita still recognisably human, but they don't get away from her, like, her otherness.
Yeah.
Well, like, she does stand out and she does look different. There are certain shots where it kind of pulled me out a bit. But it's stuff of her, like, talking.
Yeah.
Which a good chunk of this film is her talking. I actually do think it is a relatively convincing special effect.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is the character.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do you want to elaborate on why it didn't work for you?
It just looked weird. It wasn't a point where I was looking at it and it didn't look odd, because it's just like her eyes but much bigger
like
and
big
stuff.
anime eyes and
yeah. I don't know. It's just an odd effect. Like it's just. I think it does have an uncanny valley effect where it's like something that's there but just off slightly kind of thing. I think it does. It works in the context of the film that she's supposed to look like slightly different from everyone else and stuff. It just was a bit distracting. I just thought it wasn't sort of the worst part. I do think the strongest part of the film is Alita. Yeah. As like a character, like I think what they'd capture really well is, and I suppose the part where you can tell it's sort of a Cameron project is I think she is a strong female character.
Strong, independent woman.
Like she does come across like she has like the arc during the film. She feels like a small child at the beginning and acts in a way that's consistent with like, I don't know, maybe an 8-year-old or something. Yeah. And then at the end, there's like a clear development into a sort of more, maybe like early teen or something thing. And I think you can see a development there that is really strong, and you don't see enough of it in sort of main big films and stuff.
It definitely, and for me, there's part of why that first act was the strongest, when it's all about Alita and Dr. Ido, Christoph Waltz's relationship. Yeah. Where I think he's also got quite a nice narrative arc. I joked about before recording about how obvious it was.
Yeah.
But Dr. Ido, his daughter died. He's never gone quite over it. And he sees Alita as a chance to be a surrogate dad to her and essentially look after her in the way that he couldn't look after his daughter, who died in quite a tragic way, as we learn.
Yeah.
And it's all tied to him fixing up Alita's body.
Yeah.
So first he puts Alita inside of a cybernetic body that he built for his daughter, who was disabled.
Yeah.
So, literally he's encasing Alita, like in the shell of his deceased daughter.
Yeah.
And then when Alita finds a better body,
to
basically, make her stronger and upgrade her, he flat out says, like, no, I'm not doing it, because he's afraid of losing Alita.
And his daughter.
By extension. Then when he kind of get to the end of, he gets to the halfway point of the film, he eventually agrees.
Yeah.
And he comes to terms with Alita on the same level. So the end of the film the start of the film was father and daughter, the end of the film was father and daughter, but it's kind of on like different emotional levels.
Yeah. It's like he's accepting her as his daughter rather than her just being a substitute.
Exactly.
For the deceased daughter. Yeah.
Which I think is pretty smart.
Yeah, I think it works. Those two works. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's obvious.
Yeah.
But for this kind of film,
yeah.
I mean, it's working. It works and it's sweet. But I think when the film is done with that storyline,
I
think it kind of loses the heart, because the romance between Alita and her boyfriend Hugo is definitely not great.
Yeah, that does not work. I don't think.
No, but you don't get any sense of why these two like each other, or even getting past the whole like, this is a human Homo sapien falling in love with a cyborg. We have like a scene where we talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh, that's it. It's like, I think in reality people would be like, well, I want to know a bit more. Like, this is strange and...
Well, I wonder how advanced that kind of relationship is supposed to be in this future. Is it supposed to be like a normalised... I think the problem is it never develops whether this is like a normal thing in this time period. Because obviously it would have been like, say that they've had all... Because they're supposed to have had all this technology for like 300 years now, haven't they? So I imagine this would have probably happened before. But then it's just, it's not developed. They try and get some easy tension about it early on, and then they don't develop it enough later on to work. And I think that, so more spoiler alerts for the ending.
I might as well just say spoilers for everything,
The bit where it's supposed to be that she has to sort of like kill him does not work at all, because it's not built up anywhere near. So basically, it turns out that he's been harvesting other cyborgs for money to try and get off of the Iron City, out of Iron City. Then, there's a bit where Alita finds out about this, and he also has a bounty on his... It's very confusing to describe.
It's very confusing,
And she has to basically make a decision whether to kill him or not later on. And it's supposed to be this big crucial moment, but I think that they handled I don't think it should have revealed... They should have either had her having to kill him or her finding about the cyborg thing at different times. I think both at the same time sort of muddles it a little bit.
It cancel each other out, doesn't it?
Yeah, they should have had a bit where maybe she's angry at him for doing the cyborgs. Then he sort of pushes her away, and then later on she has to make a decision whether to believe him or not about having killed the the cyborg. I think that would have worked a little bit better.
Yeah,
I think that there's just too much going on in the film for it to work as one thing. I think. Like.
Yeah, because as we soon learn as well, we meet our villains.
Yeah.
One's played by Jennifer Connelly,
who have nothing to do in the film.
She looks like she doesn't have a clue what she's doing. It's obvious that they wheeled her in.
Yeah.
They threw her onto a blue screen set and we just said, read these lines.
Yeah, she does sound audibly bored most of the way through it,
Yeah. And then there's, I'm going to completely butcher this, so maybe you
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Ali, yeah.
The guy he was in Green Book now.
Yeah, Green Book,
won the Oscar for Moonlight. Great actor.
Great actor, yeah, great
actor.
Not
in this.
Not in this, no, he plays villain.
Yeah.
He plays villain. He plays a villain who's called Vector. And he's like a bit of an entrepreneur type who rigs motorball matches and works with Jennifer Connelly, who's also Dr. Rido's ex-wife.
For no reason.
Because tension.
Well, it's to give her like the bit at the end where she allows Alita to save her boyfriend because she sees Alita as being her daughter figure as well. Which doesn't work at all.
Doesn't work.
She's in maybe about 4 scenes she's just not in it anywhere near enough, and she never has a scene with Christoph Waltz where she there's just no reason for it to be her really. It could be like anyone really.
And ultimately their motives are really I still don't really get what their ultimate motive is. They basically represent the establishment of Iron City.
Yeah.
And they're also key contacts between Iron City and Zolom.
Yeah.
Now, as we later learn, there's a puppet master in charge of all of this, who's called Nova. And the problem is that they're throwing around all these names.
Yeah.
And you can't put the face to the name. And I think that's a big trip up in these kind of movies.
I love so basically the reason why they never show Nova is because he's this mysterious character to bait a sequel, and then it turns out he's Edward Norton.
Yeah, but
it's who the hell cares that it's Edward Norton? That guy was from films in the 90s and stuff.
You mean the guy from Fight Club?
Exactly. Yeah, he's not been in a big. The last film I think you're in was Birdman, and that was years ago. And surely he's been in something since. Oh, he's in Grand Budapest Hotel actually. But not in the main. You know what I mean, though. He's not someone who audiences are gonna go, "What?
Edward Norton?" Yeah, it's really weird. I'm about to see him made me laugh.
Hello, I've heard Edward Norton. Can I book Alita Battle Angel 2 tickets now?
yeah. And because he turns out to be the puppet master called Nova, and at the end of the film, he's ominously watching from Zolom, the Disc City, and he's got I don't know, he must have telescopic eyes because he can see Alita from the motorball ring. We'll get into all this. I suppose we might get into all this later because it's very confusing.
Yeah.
And it's they didn't even need to film Edward Norton on a set. Yeah. It was we can film you at home, just sitting down. We'll just move a camera around you. We'll do a 90-degree shot of you. And but you don't have to do anything. Yeah. And you might or may not be in a sequel. And Edward Norton's okay, sure.
Yeah.
And the big problem as well is that Vector, Mr. Ali, he spends most of the film under the influence of Nova.
Yeah.
Nova's talking through him. So subsequently, you don't really get a sense of what Vector's like as a villain, and you don't really get a sense of what Nova's like as a villain. It kind of it ends up cancelling each other out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
No, I'll tell you the point where the film lost me.
Yeah.
And it was the scene where, so in the first act, they're building up this thing that there's a murderer out there, and he's hunting women, right?
Yeah.
And Alita learns this, and then one evening, Dr. Rido comes back and he's covered in blood. So Alita kind of puts 2 and 2 together and assumes that he's the murderer. Turns out he's not the murderer.
The most shocking thing I've ever heard.
In the biggest shock of the film, kindly Dr. Rido is not a murderer. He's actually a hunter warrior.
Right.
Who hunts down evil cyborgs, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's never really revealed what they... You see, I don't understand why they didn't just streamline this and make everything built around the motorball. Yeah. Because the hunter-gathering stuff just never makes any
It never plays into it.
They should have just had it be a corrupt sport. Basically, a corrupt sport where if you win, you get to go leave the city. And that would have been just fine enough and stuff.
It's all you need.
There's literally no reason this hunter-gathering stuff needs to sort of be in here at all. It just doesn't work or make any sense or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dialogue in this film as well is, I don't know, it has a charm to it, but it's awful.
It's awful. It's really off.
Finish.
But
then we can get to our awful dialogue.
The scene that lost me.
Oh yeah.
So Alita kind of like stalks Dr. Rido, and she ends up like in the middle of like a combat scene where basically she's like, "Oh no, Dr. Rido's not the murderer. It's these guys," and she tries to save him, and she ends up in a battle between 3 other cyborgs. But it's the scene where Christoph Waltz like brandishes a giant rocket-powered hammer.
That looks terrible. That effect.
And his look on his face is like, "You want me to go here? You want me to sit on this mark here?" And he doesn't know. He clearly doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, because I mean, obviously, like CGI'd in the hammer.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I'm holding a what now? A hammer. And he looks completely lost, and I giggled a lot. And it's not an exciting. It's a small moment, but it's the moment where the film lost me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, "Oh man, this is like 50 Shades degree of stupid." But it was so funny because like every single time he had the rocket-powered hammer out, he had the same look on his face, where he looked like, "What, lad? I'm holding a what now?"
The bit that made me laugh, it's pretty, it's totally ridiculous. It's the bit where he's talking about like how his daughter died.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, a drugged up criminal. He came into my house, and then it shows it. The criminal just run and stamp on her, and he's like, because she couldn't get out of the way in time because she's disabled. She couldn't like just wheel away in time. Well, she can use her arms still and stuff. She got into the room and stuff.
I'm nothing about that story made any sense. It was like you've got like basically like a cybernetic equivalent of a pharmacy in the middle of Iron City, like this crime-ridden like city. And you just leave like your doors wide open at night?
No, he jumps through the glass window.
Oh.
It still doesn't make any sense.
Does it? I'd swear there's a shot where he just literally walks through the door.
I thought that he either like jumps through the window or crashes through a door or something. It might be. I only watched it yesterday. And it's camera. The thing that makes me laugh though is just how serious it is, and he's literally going, "And she couldn't get out of the way in time."
Yeah.
And the way that like the big guy just shoves the doctor out the way, and I like the fact he did that and then purposely stamped on his daughter. Like, yeah.
What a dick.
Well, it's just stupid, isn't it? Like, it doesn't make any. They could have. I don't get why he didn't become a hunter to avenge. What should have happened in this is that like maybe he hated cyborgs because one of them killed her, and then he was a hunter, you know, to do it and stuff. And he hated Alita partly, and he could have had a bit more there and stuff. Not the fact that just some random. It's just stupid. None of it makes any sense. It's done in the most comical way possible. Like,
oh man, yeah.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
It is stupid, and but yeah, as I was saying with the dialogue, oh god, we just got away from it.
Yeah, we're gonna get a bit of dialogue. Yeah.
So back to the dialogue. I don't know whether I think it adds like charm to it because it's definitely not generic.
Yeah.
But it's like someone wrote it in crayon or something. Like there's like multiple bits where Elite that's like, "Wow, really?" And like stuff like that. And,
Oh my god, I love chocolate.
Oh yeah, I've got a new favourite food. Chocolate. I don't. Do you have any chocolate?
Yeah, I was gonna say that line. Yeah. Ayo.
Yeah. Oh, I love the bit at all where there's a bit later on when a guy kills a. The film has a real big tonal problem as well. So you get the bit where basically she goes to try and this is stupid. No, she tries to gather up all the hunter gatherers to take down.
I love that scene.
Bit, and she has like an early speech. And then and for no reason, it's not even been established within the film that she's done this in order to. First she wants to go for her boyfriend to go to Thing, doesn't she? She wants to get enough money for both of them to go
to Zolom.
Zolom. Then she wants to fight the evil people on
take
Zolom,
down the social
order. Then she sort of shifts between those two, but then she goes to that, and then out of nowhere gives that speech so they all can go with her to take down the social order of Zolom. Then it's undercut with a joke. Then there's a fight scene. Then somebody kills the guy's dog that he's got.
Oh, yeah.
But then the funny
He
bit
killed
is...
the dog.
So basically, Alita then gets, due for convoluted reasons, she gets, like, basically ripped apart. And then, like, the guy with the dog has to, like, put his dogs to get this guy sent away. And there's a really sad moment where, like, Alita's, you know, she's been rendered to just a head. That's why they have to change body. And it's really sad. And all of a sudden it cuts to the dog guy and he goes, "Not a dog lover. Can't stand that." It's like, oh my... So someone's just supposed to laugh out loud now after, like, Alita's been ripped into shreds and stuff.
I loved that whole 15-minute stretch of it. Was so bad.
Yeah.
Like when she walked into the bar and like all the Hunter Warriors, it's so cute. We're all like hanging out together like in the bar.
Yeah.
One's got his dog and stuff, and he's got like his free pooches, hasn't he? And there are some others as well, but we're getting to who I think is probably the worst character in the whole film.
Oh yeah.
And it's Zapan.
Oh, is that sort of the massive villain, like the guy?
No, he's the one who's the cyborg who doesn't like having his hair ruffled and
that. Yeah, he's terrible.
he was awful.
Spend all your money on your face, did you?
Yeah, but
what are you talking about, little girl?
What are you talking about, little girl?
Sound like Ray Winston a bit in the film.
Like a young Ray Winston. You see my daughter, she's gorgeous.
Japan's a very complicated character.
When he thinks he's working for Nova, he's actually working for Dr. Rido. When he's working for Dr. Rido, he thinks he's working for Zova. And then at the end, she like chops his face off. Like, that made me giggle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was the worst. He was so bad.
And yeah, again though, like there's no need for him or that. I feel like they have to give like obviously because it's kind of pointless. They give all that sort of stuff more weight and like try and make him have more personality and stuff. Just to like, I wonder if he'll appear in Battle Angel 2.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And he'll have like a badass
half a face.
Like half a face. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all like cybernetic and stuff, and he'll be like, "Oh, Beck."
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm working for anymore. My brains are all fucked up.
And I noticed and all that you don't actually ever see inside the Utopia Paradise.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like they should have at least had a scene where maybe she remembers like what it was like.
Yeah.
Back up there because you never actually get a sense of. Obviously, I think it's sequel teasing kind of.
Yeah,
thing.
definitely. Yeah.
Like this film sets up so much a sequel that's never going to happen. It's kind of sad. Like
I think I wrote an article for my blog called "The Noble Failure of Alita: Battle Angel." It's available to read now on a blog. I Need to Focus on WordPress. Read it now. Yeah.
Link in the description.
Link in the description below. Yeah. No. So I was saying it could safely join the what I dub the Super Mario Brothers the Movie Club of baiting a sequel that is most definitely not going to happen. Because have you ever seen the Super Mario Brothers movie?
No.
Alright, it's awful.
Yeah, I've heard it's terrible. That's why I've avoided it.
I'd highly recommend watching it.
Alright.
Mostly because there's a terrible. Watch it, just watch it. But the film ends with like Princess Daisy coming out of like the sewer, and she's like a badass like soldier now. She's almost like a Sarah Connor type, and she's like, "We got trouble, Mario. We got trouble, Luigi. We gotta go back." And she's like this big gun and stuff, and it ends there. It's like sequel, but the sequel never happens. It doesn't happen.
I remember now. This is a digression. So we're talking about how awful the trailers look on this. Did you have the trailer for Cold Pursuit, the new Liam Neeson film?
Oh, yeah.
I watched the trailer for that and I was like, you've done this interview where you've come off like a racist for this awful looking comedy thriller that looks like it's like a 90s Tarantino ripoff.
Out of all the films in all the world to be called a racist.
Well, imagine if he'd have done that with Schindler's List. Someone had said, well, you know, what made you feel like wanting revenge and stuff? And it's like, well, it's not quite the Holocaust, but... And then when it was that thing that he said, no, it's to publicise this terrible-looking film where it's like him playing Citizen of the Year who's also a badass killer.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a digression from Alita Battle Angel.
But the trailers, actually, it's funny you mention that because they nicely sum up, like, the film.
Yeah.
Confused, mixture of tones, and they ultimately don't know who the audience is. Which I think is Alita's problem, where, like, I can't imagine, like, teens wanting to go see this. Maybe except for, like, nerdy teens.
Yeah, it's maybe anime fans.
Like anime fans.
But it's not quite hardcore enough for that kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing, because I was talking to one of my friends last weekend, And he was like, well, it's weird that this film's been adapted because it's like it's not even like a well-known manga or an anime, even amongst like the fandom. It's like it's a really weird one to pick. I mean, this year is going to, and I know it's based on a video game as well, but this year is going to see the release of Detective Pikachu.
Okay, yeah.
Which looks atrocious.
But it's so cute.
But I'm going to be there day one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can't wait. But yeah, so like I think kind of adapting anime is becoming more of a thing.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a lot of people, like lots of prominent artists, like rap artists and that kind of stuff, who reference anime like in the songs and stuff and talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you want to adapt an anime, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But why not go for a more well-known one?
Yeah. I thought this was an original thing before. I thought this was just a James Cameron passion project.
Like some crazy idea he's had for years, and
yeah, it was too generic for me in terms of like, I know it is sort of crazy and the dialogue's awful.
We made it sound way more exciting than it probably actually is.
Yeah, it just doesn't have enough like personality to it to like really do. Like thinking of it compared to like Jupiter Ascending, which and all like that. I've not seen it, but what's that one? The one I was talking about on the bus here, with Dane DeHaan,
Valerian of 1,000 Planets.
Yeah, or even the Roberto Benigni Pinocchio. Yeah. These crazy passion projects where an auteur gets too much money and like, you know, invest it all in something stupid. Like
I guess the problem is they tried to make Alita into like a legit film.
Yeah.
See, I've got a theory about it as well. In that, obviously, with the Fox Disney merger coming up, this is pretty much like one of the last major films from Fox.
Okay.
Before it happens, my theory is that before the merger was going to happen, Fox were like, "We'll cut our losses, we'll fast track this into production. If it does well, great. If not, whatever. The House of Mouse is buying us.
Yeah.
We've spent millions developing this film for years. James Cameron's been lumbering for 10, 20 years trying to make it. Fuck it, we'll cut our losses. Here's $200 million while Rodriquez go make the film." Because I think if the whole Disney-Fox merger happened, the film probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah, probably not. No.
I think it'd just get swept aside in and amongst all the other paperwork that's happening, and I don't think the film will probably happen. So I think it was one of them things where I was like, well, we'll cut our losses and see what happens, basically.
Yeah. Do you think there'll be anyone reclaiming this as a lost masterpiece in like 15 years?
Everyone always does that, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have your job on.
Yeah, you would.
I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have a soft spot for it.
Yeah.
I do have a bit of a soft spot for it.
Well, compared to how generic a lot of blockbusters are and stuff, I'd rather watch... I wouldn't actually. I was going to say I'd rather watch this again over like a Marvel film, but it's just not enough to it for it to be like that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not that the last time an auteur went crazy was like and did a good one. Mad Max Fury Road is similar to this in a way, where it's someone just spending loads of money on his own personal thing and stuff. But it's just it doesn't feel distinctive like that, does it? Either or anything, you know what I mean? Like it's just a generic. It just feels generic with like some odd touches, and that's it. Not like the whole thing being odd itself. Like
it's always like a clear style and passion to Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
Well, this generic action.
Yeah, it's just generic action film basically.
Generic action film. Touches. Yeah, with no real like visual flair to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame that knowing that this is such a passion project and it being released to the state that it's in.
I actually heard that he was going to direct this and move to Avatar because he thought it would bring global awareness to global warming issues.
Oh my god.
I genuinely think he thought he was going to save the world by making Avatar 1.
Good god.
Yeah.
Well, I mean...
Well, maybe the Seed Bearer will do that.
Avatar Seed Bearer.
The Way of Water, that's another one.
See, James Cameron can like piss off and be like a hypocrite about like, the whole global warming thing, and like Avatar. Whereas like, I wonder how much like CO2 emissions were made while making Avatar.
Yeah.
And how much trash is thrown away every single day at Avatar World at Disney.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I suppose though you'd have to weigh up whether it's like if he thinks it's going to raise more awareness. Because you could technically say that about anyone, like, oh, you're an environmental activist, but you take a plane to give a talk in America or somewhere, where it's like, yeah, but if you're going to raise awareness and stop other people doing it and stuff.
I'm just being facetious.
Yeah. No, it's fine. But I think people do try and make that.
No, they do. Yeah,
it's in bad. I think Avatar though. Let's admit it. Anyone who saw that, I didn't think got the strong. Well, it has an environmental message, but it's so confused like everything else in the film.
Yeah.
Like they just try and make it that massive tree and stuff. And, like, anyone who remembers Avatar enough to even remember it had a theme to it. Like.
Are you talking about The Last Airbender?
Yeah, exactly. Probably more people remember the M. Night Shyamalan film, to be honest.
Oh God, yeah.
Because at least that's memorable in terms of how. Is it? You've seen it actually. I haven't. Is it memorably bad?
I hate that film. Yeah. It's pretty memorably bad. I hate that film more because it takes a great TV show.
Yeah.
And like just pisses all over it.
Oh. Right. Speaking of generic as well, I actually watched the new M. Night Shyamalan film, Complete Digression Glass.
Oh, right.
That actually ends in a fight in a car park. A literal car park, not as like a CGI, like, in a car park. It's just they fight in a car park, the three main characters. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, I've never cared about this whole M. Night Shyamalan shared cinematic universe. Like I've seen Unbreakable. That was a long time ago.
It's okay.
It's all right. It's one of them where it was kind of underrated when it came out. Now the wheels have spun to it just being about overrated.
Yeah.
I didn't see Split. I just couldn't care less. And Glass is like, why are so many people getting excited about the shared M. Night Shyamalan cinematic universe? Like,
I bet though Glass makes more money than Alita Battle Angel.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
And it already made like 200 million or something.
Let's have a look at the stats.
Yeah, like Alita, I think will be a massive flop, and I think Glass will end up like that is such a stretch because they're both made, I suppose, by like people who were. Ironically, what would you say the link is between M. Night Shyamalan and James Cameron? This will be a good one to see if you. Both called the next Steve Spielberg.
Oh.
Which is a weird touch, isn't it?
That is weird. So on a budget of $20 million, Glass has made $220 million worldwide.
Insane. In like 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, yeah. So Alita, on a budget of $150 to $200 million, has thus far made just shy of $60 million.
See, that's insane to me. That like Glass, a film that like looked like it was shot on, well, it was, but shot basically nothing compared to Hollywood standard. Yeah. Almost all interiors, makes like way more than this film ever will. Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's bizarre. What a strange time we live in. Yeah. Well, people just aren't. This film just has no audience anymore. That's the problem. Yeah, there is like, who is Alita's audience? Yeah. And because I can't imagine like general teenagers getting into this. Yeah. And it's too corny as well. It feels like a top 50s kind of mentality and like gee whiz. Like it's too corny for like your like average like Marvel fan who craves a bit more like of like the witty dialogue and the more high octane action or whatever. And it's not good for like someone just looking for an action film because it's really slow in places. Yeah. So it's like, who's this film made for outside of the weirdos who shared the cinema with me? Yeah. And there were some strange people knocking about, let me tell you. Really strange. But like I heard this is a sequel to Alita, where Alita's body is on the head of Christoph Waltz. Oh god. You know what? Christoph Waltz could play a great Humbert, I reckon. Oh, definitely. I reckon he'd be really good. But that's a different film. No, I saw this film in Leicester Square in London. Mm-hmm. And basically I needed 2 hours to kill. Yeah. So I decided to go see Alita Battle Angel because it was Chinese New Year celebrations in the centre of London. Oh, and all the bars were packed, all the coffee shops were packed, and I was like, I've got 2 hours to kill until my train home. Yeah. So my friend who had seen was back. Was it part of a Christopher Waltz season with Spectre then? With Spectre. Oh yeah. That was one of the weird things that connected the films together because I ended up watching Spectre as well that weekend, which was awful. Which is worse? Spectre. Oh, Spectre's much worse. Above and away Spectre. Yeah. Spectre is absolutely dreadful, but that's another discussion for another time. So I was like, I need to find a quiet place in central London, and then it hit me. A screening of Alita Battle Angel. There is no fuckers going to be there. And it was a gorgeous cinema. Yeah. I was even attended to
to my seat by a nice man in the cinema. He was like, "Oh, it's screen 5. You'll seat this, and you'll sit there." I was like, "Oh, fine." I was like, "There you go, sir." And I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." And then it was all in aid of like Alita Battle Angel. Like, it was such a weird, like, I felt like it was a night at the theatre.
I saw it in the View Cinema. It was a $5 to go. It was rammed full of people on a Friday night. Nobody seemed to care very much about the film. People were going up and leaving and coming back and stuff. Just exactly the audience this film deserves, just disinterested.
Oh,
yeah.
Poor Alita Battle Angel. See, if that's the thing, like, yeah, for like a $5, I wouldn't feel like too cheated.
Yeah.
Like, all I was thinking was, that the View in Manchester City Centre and in Leeds isn't well now.
Yeah.
It's like £5.
I could have seen this on a Tuesday or Wednesday for £2.50 with the Meerkat movies thing.
which is fine. For £5, seeing Alita Battle Angel is fine.
Yeah.
But my ticket cost me £17.50.
There's so many better films you could have seen there.
I know. Like,
imagine if you'd seen like If Beale Street Could Talk.
You know what? That was one of the ones I was considering, but the only showing that the showing times didn't work.
Oh, right.
Basically, like, yeah, like, because I was thinking, I really want to go see that. But the first showing was like later on in the day, and it had finished with not enough time to get to the train station. So I was like, this is the only film that works at this time. Yeah. So, and then I was also tempted to go to the National Portrait Gallery as well and see some, culture. And
feel alive.
Yeah.
Could have seen Green Book. No, that looks worse than
Green Book. I couldn't. I think we should talk about the Oscars at some point, but
definitely.
They're definitely in this recording session. But Green Book. I've got no interest in seeing.
Yeah,
I must admit.
Alita Battle Angel.
Alita Battle Angel. Yeah. I would. I mean, probably by the time you hear this, you probably like
it'll have left
cinemas. But at least, dear listeners, you know our thoughts on a literal Battle Angel.
Yeah. Well, the point of as Jean-Luc Godard said, we're not the airport. We're not the airport. We're the airplane. We're there to take the audience will see Alita, then we take them somewhere else, and the journey goes on past us.
We've talked about all sorts in this in this session.
Hopefully we've enhanced your understanding of Alita. You can go, oh yeah, that is right. I didn't think of that. When I looked up at from my phone to see what happened in Alita for 5 minutes.
Well, when I looked up in my I actually heard that it's a thing where some cinema chains are on about doing like live tweeting viewings.
That's pathetic.
Where like the cinema will be like dimly lit, people can have like the laptops out or the phone, so they could like tweet reactions along with the film.
Those cinemas should be shut down. They should take the cinema license away from those places.
I mean, it's just it's pathetic. But
what I think they should do is have like a bag for you to throw your phone into before going.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then what is the point of going to see a film if you're gonna tweet live? Like,
yeah, it's stupid, isn't it? Because it's like you're gonna miss something and.
Yeah, well, because you're gonna miss like half watching it really and stuff, and like. You'd have to I suppose you could go. Actually, it's pretty clever, really, for like the cinema chains, because people might go once to watch it properly and then do it.
Sure, yeah.
It's like there's an episode of Seinfeld where one of the characters goes to see a film and he does a joke during it and he gets a big response from the audience and he loves it, so he goes back and makes a joke again, but he doesn't get the same. He goes basically goes to a film 10 times, trying to test material while the film's playing, and he's writes notes and stuff. Anyway, maybe someone will watch a film 10 times to try and get the tweeting experience
yeah. Get the best possible thread going, yeah.
Basically, I was trying to say that cinemas should be shut down and film should end as a medium. It's reached its end point.
Yeah, we're at the end times, yeah.
Bizarrely, that's also I watched the film festival, Leeds Film Festival, the new Godard film, The Image Book.
All right, okay.
And the basic premise of that is that cinema is dead, basically. And you see, I'm not going to do one. He says some pretty dodgy things in it, basically. Anyway, Alita Battle Angel. Go see it if you're interested. If it sounds interesting, do go see it. If it doesn't, avoid it because you'll find nothing in it. It's
a dull 2.5 hours long if you've got. Even if you're going to go in straight and you're not going to get kind of the ironic enjoyment out of it, but like what I did. Don't bother. Yeah.